Apparently things aren't going too smooth for one franchise in the NFL, according to a recent report. We will get into the very latest on that and the drama surrounding it coming up in about 20 minutes from now here. Speaking of drama, the Dallas Cowboys always have drama. There's always something going on. Yeah, something
America's
like that.
team.
And Mike McCarthy was asked at the league meetings, the owners' meetings in Orlando, about whether or not he's concerned about his job status entering what is the final year of his current contract. Here was the Cowboys coach.
I know this has always been my approach because, make no bones about it, I am extremely blessed to be here. I'm very much engaged where my feet are, and the opportunities I've had personally, I'm very blessed. So I never lose sight of that. So that's always been my big picture approach. And now when I look at the younger coaches, I worry more about them than I do about myself because I know where I am in my career. But the reality of it is, if you don't take the same approach every year, you're really looking at it the wrong way. So your financial structure should not, deter from your approach to the season.
Do you think McCarthy looks around and goes, yeah, there's pressure every single year because I'm the Cowboys coach. I'm surprised they even was brought back this year. And so now, what's another year of going through this, even though he's going to have to deal with, reportedly less than what they brought back last year because they've been so quiet in the offseason.
Don't you think there's multiple elements to this, though? If you look at the roster as of right now, granted, we still have the draft, and then they've drafted and developed well, so it's not that big of a concern in my mind, and they do have one of the better rosters when everyone's healthy. But so they really haven't needed to be active in free agency. However, you lost a lot of pieces on the interior of the offense, and I in particular offensive line. And you could have added maybe another piece or two, but these could all be draft picks as far as a center, interior offensive lineman at the guard position, a wide receiver. You could find all of that in this year's draft class. So maybe he doesn't look at it and he doesn't feel like it's that big of a burden. But I look at it and say, you lost your defensive coordinator. You bring in a guy that's very familiar in Dallas, cut his teeth there in a way in Mike Zimmer. So that was a great, kind of fill for the void that was left behind. But, it's Dak. It's a huge year for Dak. It's a huge year, I think, for the perception of where this team's going with Mike McCarthy as the head coach. And now, you don't have Dan Quinn breathing down your neck as your defensive coordinator, as the guy who could replace you as our interim head coach. But you still do have Bill Belichick out there lurking, just lurking out there, ready to take that next opportunity potentially. And maybe it would be Dallas. After a year of sitting back, reevaluating, maybe he would look at a team like the Dallas Cowboys and be like, sign me up for that, Jerry.
What coaching tree did he come from?
Who, McCarthy?
No.
Bill Belichick?
Yeah.
Parcells.
Yeah.
How did that go in Dallas? How did that work out?
Well,
did they end on good terms?
Well,
who doesn't on good terms?
Well, that's fair. But I don't, does Jerry Jones want to deal with perceivably a personality as strong? And I'm telling you, that's going to be the Achilles heel of Belichick going forward, is who's going to want to deal with him having that type of power out there.
Yeah,
so do you think Jerry and Stephen Jones are scared to see him in the hallways like those other organizations?
I think
about Mike Vrabel.
I've experienced right. I've experienced.
He looks like a big fella.
Yeah.
A big lady. I've experienced owners being intimidated by coaches. Like Marty Schottenheimer scared Dresner and Snyder to death, and they were like, "Get them the hell out of here."
Oh, Marty Ball?
Oh, well, it's just that type of personality. But I don't want to get too far off on that. I want to address McCarthy. McCarthy basically told everybody, "I got my cash. I'm good. I'm financially stable. I'm happy in my life." I think he's saying, "I don't feel pressure because I've done well. If I'm measuring out what I've been as a head coach, I've won.
I think this is probably the least stressed out he's been going into a season because he's like, hey, I mean,
he just told y'all,
Yeah,
like, look, I'm more concerned about if it doesn't go the way I need it to go. I'm more concerned about the young guys. He's basically saying if something were to go wrong, if they don't want me, I'm good. I got my cash, like I'm good. I got a Super Bowl, I'm good. So I'm not in a position where I gotta win because it's a do or die situation for me and my life and my well-being. Like I'm coaching. I kind of felt like when I heard the soundbite, I kind of was like, dang, like it's a cool way to approach it. I don't know if it's the best way. I think when you're in athletics and you're competing, and especially at the highest level, and for one of the most, if not popular, franchises in the game, I think there has to be a level of stress that you feel. I think there has to be a level of pressure to perform and to bring that to the table.
It's Dallas, though. Isn't there always pressure to perform?
Yes.
Is that the expectation?
And so if that's the expectation and that's what's coming your way, then you got to assume that he's embracing that because that's the job that he knew he was coming into. So to me, I listen, it all looks like it's aligned for this to be him and Dak's last year if it doesn't go the way that it's going. My question would be, what if it does go the way that they want it to go, which I don't know what that is. I think it's sad to say because it's like it seems like it comes across the Super Bowl or bust, but where they are now and that gap between where they are now and the Super Bowl, is there somewhere in between that space that you could actually have enough success where Mike McCarthy comes back and is renewed and Dak Prescott comes back and is renewed, even though you have a ton of players that got to be signed outside of those, that outside of Dak and if you're going to bring him back as a coach.
And I also wonder if just all the drama that he gets from Jerry Jones in the media or Stephen Jones, mostly Jerry talking about whether it was Dan Quinn and he was like, drooling over Dan Quinn when he was there, or talking about all the things, Dak Prescott, just whenever he does these two interviews a week on local Dallas radio. I wonder if Mike McCarthy's looking around going, dude, whatever. Like, listen, if this works out, it works out. If it doesn't, we haven't won a Super Bowl. We haven't had the playoff success some people would look at, but I've got the best winning percentage. Yes, a smaller sample size. I've got the best winning percentage of any coach in the history of the Cowboys. If you want to move on from me, so be it. But the problem in Dallas is that Jerry Jones has been either too involved or has given an expectation that is not realistic for 30 years. And Mike McCarthy probably looks and says, whoever wants to take over this afterwards, be my guest. But if the problem is still here that's been here for the last 30 years, then it's not going to change if I'm gone. And I just wonder if he's kind of over it at this point. Like, whatever. Like,
I'm good.
Kick me out, fire me.
I just told y'all, I'm good. I'm good.
Must be nice, man. That's sweet.
What are you talking about?
I mean,
I feel like that's how Lee lives, though. I feel like there's a lot of common ground between Lee and Mike McCarthy right now.
And Lee's a big Packers fan. Maybe Mike McCarthy is kind of his guiding light through all this.
I mean, does he continue to coach if he leaves? I mean, you took time off to study and test the theories. He told us.
Did he get big into analytics?
Yeah, didn't he tell us he took like that time off to like really, really dissect and break it down by the analytics, this, that, and the other, and so forth and so on.
In the
analytics,
that was his
feel
pitch
like that
to
helped
get the
him
gig.
at all?
Doesn't seem like it.
Did the analytics have Ezekiel Elliott in that final play of his Cowboys career?
Getting blown up, getting the spirit and the life of him knocked out of him.
What were the analytics on that? But I also do you think Jerry Jones ever gets to a point to where, and maybe it's this offseason or next offseason, where he's like, look, I know I want to run the show here, but I'm really desperate for another Super Bowl. Bill, here's some power that I've never given to a coach since Jimmy Johnson.
Do you think he can do it, though? Like, honestly. Do you really think he can do it?
Belichick?
No.
Oh, you mean give up that kind of control?
Yes.
Probably not.
I just don't see it. I don't see it. And then that's like a, I don't know. If you have the expectation that Jerry Jones has for his team, and he is a former player. So in his mind, being a successful businessman, being a successful brander that he is, he probably feels like he knows enough about the game where he's looking at what people are doing and he sees the insufficiencies or just the lack of whatever it is that he thinks needs to be there. And I think that's a tremendous hurdle for him to clear. Like he would never just let a coach. He'd never just let let his GM be his GM, even though that's kind of like Jerry too. I just don't know. It seems as though the market has spoken on, can Jerry Jones do it the way Jerry Jones does it? And the answer has been no for a really, really long time.
At least he's loyal, though.
I mean to himself.
Gets a lot of guys paid.
He's loyal to himself.
Giving McCarthy another year.
Imagine if he hired somebody to do the job that he's done. At what point would they have lost their job?
It's a great question. Probably a while back.
Yeah.
But do you think he would have hired him back and then fired him again, and then hired him back and fired him again?
Maybe he looks at maybe that's his man in the mirror. You're fired. Okay, I was joking. You own this bitch. It's my team. Can't fire me. That's my team. America's team.
Yeah.
And viva Los Mexico.
Yeah, what was the Vamos Los Cowboys or whatever he said? I don't know, whatever those drops
and
are.
Casamigos.
Yeah. Dios míos Cowboys.